Welcome into the CHGO Blackhawks podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Happy Mailbag Tuesday.
Yeah.
I'm Jay Zawoski with Greg Boyson and Mario Tirabassi. We asked for your questions, and you sent them in, and we've got a lot to get to. Before we do, we want to remind everybody to smash that like button on the YouTube page and make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel as well. If you're a podcaster, make sure you are following or subscribed to the podcast as well. Later on in the show, we're going to share some practice comments. Well, he wasn't practicing the comments. They were comments from practice from Luke Richardson on Lucas Reichel.
It was his post-game dress rehearsal.
Yes, and what we really love about Luke is the way he will give you a detailed answer. And this was a very detailed answer about what they're looking for from Lucas Reichel and what they're seeing from Lucas Reichel. It's really, really great stuff, and we thought everyone would love to hear that, so we're going to share that for you in a moment. I think is that right? We got everything done, right? Everything we need to promote is there. Like button. Oh, yeah, become a diehard, allchgo.com. If you become a diehard, you save 20% on all of our merch at the CHGO locker and all of our events like takeovers and tailgates and all those sort of things. And you get a free T-shirt or hat upon sign up. So it's a great deal, and it helps support the company. We would love to have you become a CHGO diehard. Allchgo.com is the place to make that happen.
Yeah.
All right.
It's a good investment.
And if you did not submit us a question, like I saw Michael and Chucklemucko said, oh, we forgot. Well, just put them in the chat. We'll get to them.
Yeah.
Get your questions there, of course.
And if you throw us a super chat, we'll definitely get to them.
Yes.
Yeah, and if you throw us a $50 super chat, we'll show feet.
Hey, there we go.
No, that's at least 100. Gotta go triple digits for feet.
All right.
Yeah, that's true.
So we will get to the questions here in a bit. But anything else we want to address from practice? I thought the Lucas Reichel stuff stood out the most. It was a getaway day. So Luke spoke first, and then we went to the locker room, and it was Anders Bjork, and it was, who else was in there? Staylock. We're the only two guys in there.
Yeah, Lucas Reichel was in there for a little bit too.
Yeah. So we talked to Bjork. I wrote about it for my Blackhawks beat piece, which literally just published like 15 minutes ago. Again, you could find that at allchgo.com. Joey, are we ready to go with some questions?
Give it 50 minutes
here?
before going and finding that. Stay here and then read it after the show.
We're ready to go with the questions. I mean, do you have specific ones you want to go to first?
You are the producer of the show. I trust your judgment. You are as good as it gets in this business. So let's do it.
All right, here we go. Let's find
a
a good one to start here.
Wheel of questions.
This one is from Alex. I have a question. Don't know if we'll make it, but do you guys think Fantilli is actually a better fit for this team? Yes, Bedard is a great scoring threat, but Fantilli is also lethal and seems to bring more leadership. IDK, just curious to see your responses. Also, you guys can read the questions if you want.
No, that's great.
No
I love it. New voices are good. People are sick of hearing from us.
This is an interesting question because
I disagree.
I think it's interesting because if we get into a position where the Blackhawks are picking second, and Adam Fantilli seems to be clearly the second choice in this draft, I think it's going to be really interesting to dig into how those two players differ in their style, because they're different players.
Yeah,
they don't play the same style, but they're both dominant in their own ways. So I think it's going to be interesting if we get to that point where, if the Blackhawks miss out on Connor Bedard, then we look at Adam Fantilli, look at what he does, and I think we're going to be pleasantly surprised at how well his game can translate and really benefit the Blackhawks. Now, that being said, I know what angle you guys are going at. Connor Bedard is a freak of nature. He is. He fits all 32 NHL teams, and every team on the planet could use Connor Bedard, and he would fit the team. I just think with Fantilli, it's going to be interesting to see how his skill set translates to the NHL, because I think he has a more. I feel like he has a more rounded game than Bedard. So it'll be interesting to see how he would fit into that lineup, because Bedard, there is a kind of a conversation of, will he be a center in the NHL? Will he be a wing? With Fantilli, I think his future is down the middle. So there is some interest to it.
So you guys, the authors of the Rebuild Report, are more attentive to the prospects in the draft targets than I have been. I think a lot of people mention McDavid and Bedard in the same breath. I don't know if that's really totally fair because McDavid is significantly bigger.
Yeah.
Right?
Bigger.
He's a definite center and has been since day one. I think in terms of the output, maybe the conversation begins. But in my brain, the Fantilli Bedard thing is almost like Taves and Kane.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like there was a short period of time there where there was no question that Jonathan Taves was better than Patrick Kane. Mm-hmm. Probably in the prime years of the dynasty, if you pulled at the time 30 other GMs, all 30 of them probably would have taken Jonathan Taves. Now, later in their careers with injury and time and all those sort of things, that shifted to Patrick Kane, whose game has more longevity. But you wonder, I don't know. To me, if I get the number one pick, I'm not overthinking it. I'm taking Connor Bedard and I'm running with it. And if he's a wing, he's a center, fine. I'll take my 120 points every year.
Right.
Yeah. Like getting back to the actual question, they're both going to be great fits, no matter who it is, because they're both extremely great talents. And Luke Richardson has proven, at least to me, he's a smart enough coach to where he's going to make either of those guys. He's going to build his team around those guys. He's not Jeremy Colleton, who's going to try and force Connor Bedard to play Jeremy Colleton's system. He's going to say, "Oh, you're Connor Bedard. I'm just going to
go do your thing.
Yeah, you go be Connor Bedard, and I'm going to put guys around you that helps you be Connor Bedard or Adam Fantilli." So as far as which one is a better fit, they're both going to be amazing fits. You make it work.
Especially on a team that doesn't really have anybody that is solid. Like, they're not slotting in around anyone. Everyone else is slotting in around them.
And they both of those guys fit the kind of the mold that Kyle Davidson's been drafting and looking for. Fantilli might actually fit that mold better.
Yeah, maybe.
But you don't pass up on Connor Bedard just because Fantilli has a little more size and those kind of things. The interesting part of the draft for me is going to be where they pick, how that changes the rest of those picks this draft. Because if you draft Connor Bedard number one, you get that pick. Do you now spend the rest of that draft getting guys that play better with him, complement him? Or if you get Fantilli at number two, do you change the type of guy you get to complement Adam Fantilli? Because as we've said, they are different players. So getting 1, 2, or 3, does that change your entire draft strategy?
That's a good question, and hopefully we'll get to ask that to Kyle Davidson someday soon.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We're working on that, and I know we talked about this last night. It's not like they're ducking us by any means. I want to be clear on that.
He's a busy guy.
We're just trying to find a time where it works. He's on the road right now, and he's got GM meetings. We don't want to do it remotely because, we lost a connection. We want to do it when he can sit down here with us, and I'm confident will happen soon.
He also has a very small child.
So I'm so tired of everybody using that excuse for everything.
That's overrated.
It says Greg.
Wow.
Father of 2 pugs.
Hey.
All right, well, since we're on the topic of Bedard and Fantilli, I got this, someone slid into my DMs the other day and said, "Hey, man, longtime listener, love your show and all that. I had a question. Playing super armchair GM, if the Blackhawks got the number 1 pick and a team like Arizona got the number 2 and offered number 2 and their next 5 first-rounders for number 1, would you do that deal? I know we all love Bedard, but Fantilli and a bunch more top prospects, that might be interesting. I would do that in a heartbeat."
Yeah. I would tend to agree. If you're gonna say it's Fantilli and 5 of Arizona's next first round picks, which are
all going to be lottery picks.
I have no faith that Arizona knows how to get out of this position that they're in. So they'll be early first-round picks. Plus, you have 5 other first-round picks that the Blackhawks have in the next 3 years that you're not using on that pick on Adam Fantilli. That's quick math. That's 10 first-round picks over a 5-year span. I do it. I think I do it.
I mean, how often do we talk about? Yes, the dynasty Blackhawks had star power, but what really won them those titles was your depth.
Yeah,
because they could roll 4 lines and 3 pairs and 2 goalies, and they were just relentless. And how was it? Ken Hitchcock that talked about the Hawks' resolve. Was that? I think it was him. After a series,
was he wearing his hockey,
his generic hockey shirt. So, or maybe it was No, it had to be. It had to be Hitchcock. When remember the Blues went up 3-0. The Hawks tied at 3-3, and then the Hawks eventually lost in Game 7.
Yeah.
I think that was a series where Bedard was talking about the Blackhawks' resolve, and what that really means is depth.
Yeah.
Is they're just so deep, and they're so good, and they can just come at you and come at you and come at you.
Yeah.
And when you look at the teams that have been great in hockey over the last few years, Tampa, Colorado, yeah, they've all got star players, but they're rolling 4 lines and 3 pairs, and it's that's the difference. That's what wins championships. And that's why you look at Edmonton, which when you think about this question, like, would you rather have Connor McDavid or 5 really good first-rounders to make the team deeper?
Right.
It's a good question because the Oilers have not won shit.
Yeah, and they had the opportunity to load up their team for years, even before McDavid was there. And it's a testament to why drafting and developing is very important, because you could get 3 first overall picks in a 4-year span and really not be able to have anything to show for it other than having Connor McDavid. So,
Well, you had Adam Larson for a little while.
sure, yeah, that was great.
Yeah, that 5. I don't think that offer would ever be made. But if
No,
there's one team
can you trade
if
5
there-
first-round
If there's
picks?
one team the Galaxy brain it and make that trade, it is the Arizona Coyotes. But I would, as much as I love Connor Bedard, I would have to take that trade,
Yeah.
knowing that you're going to get Fantilli too.
Yeah, because think about you get Fantilli, and then you have a shot at landing 10 more players with the 5 picks included. 10 more players who are like a Korchinski or a Nazar or a Reichel.
And that keeps your window of contention open far longer because you know you've got first round talent coming for the foreseeable future, that when you start to get good, if you have to lose one of these guys as a salary cap casualty, you know you've got a guy coming in on his first contract for the next 3 years. And then you also have a ton of currency for when you're ready to compete. Like that's like those 2025 first round draft picks and picks that Kyle David, he's thinking ahead. I know we're not used to it,
right?
But like, hey, summer 2024 comes. Say we get 1 or 2 of those huge free agent prizes, and then all of a sudden, 2024, 25, I still think is a little too early, but you never know. All of a sudden, the Hawks are looking like they're that team that are ready, they're on the cusp. You all of a sudden already have extra first-round picks where if you think, hey, we just need this one piece at the trade deadline to get us in the playoffs, and who knows what happens, you have that currency right there already.
There could be a guy who's 24, 25 that's hitting the prime of their career on a bad team with term on their deal, and you use a first-round pick to get a guy like that and add him to the mix. Like that's a possibility.
Well, I think a good example of that is you look at the Ottawa Senators, and despite last night's loss, they had been one of the hottest teams in hockey, and they had a really good offseason, getting DeBrincat in there. They've got some good young talent with Tkachuk and Stützle and all those people. And when they traded for Jacob Chikrin, everyone's kind of like, wait, what are they doing? They're not very good. They see that their window is about to be open, and they had the opportunity to offer a first-round pick that's going to be, sooner in the draft than any of the other teams going after him were, right? And they say, look, we're going to identify this guy as the linchpin of our next generation of great players, and so they get Chikrin. The assumption is they're going to do their best to sign him long-term, and he'll be there for the next 8 years or whatever it is as the Ottawa starts to ascend. So in 2-3 years, maybe that's where the Hawks are. And like you said, they can use some of those assets they've gathered down the road to then add and improve the team on the ice.
Yes, I look forward to Jacob Chikrin being there for years so Lucas Reichel can beat him down the ice and score more goals.
That was fun.
That'd be wonderful.
Definitely. All right, who do we got next here, Joey? As we rifle through our myriad mailbags.
Let's go with this one here.
Tom.
All right.
From Tom, if the Hawks were to package the Tampa pick in the first round and their own pick in the second round to move up in the first, what pick do you believe would be the lowest pick they could acquire?
Top 10, top
15. Look, if Tampa
Depends on
loses
what
in the
Tampa's
first
pick
round,
is.
if Toronto takes out Tampa,
That doesn't matter.
it's based on the standings.
Oh, right.
As they don't get to,
Greg
as long
figured
as
this
they
out.
go, the only teams that change
Yeah.
are the last 4. So if Tampa loses in the first or second round, they still finish where regular season points rank them.
So I'm looking at the
currently
league
right now
standings,
they probably fall around the 21st, 22nd pick. I'd say they're about 7.
Tampa's the 8th. Yeah, Tampa has the 8th best record right now.
So 24.
Yeah.
So no matter if they lose in the first or second round, they would still slot in based on regular season points. The only way you move is if you make it to a conference
So let's
final.
say
we don't want them to go to the conference finals.
No.
Right.
So let's say they lose to Toronto in the first round.
Sure.
And,
it could happen.
And then that helps the Rangers get to the Eastern Conference Final.
That would be ideal.
Yeah,
They're not
all
beating
that.
the Devils though.
Okay, well, this is a hypothetical, all right? We're trading 5 first-round picks for Connor Bedard. I think if you have the 24th pick and a second-round pick, you can get into the teens for sure.
I would say somewhere between 10 and 15 would be my minimum.
Yeah.
I don't
If
know.
you're trading, because you're trading a pretty high second.
24 and a second, if that gets you past 15, by all means, I think that's worth it if there's a guy that they specifically want. But I don't know. It'd be nice. It'd be nice. I'm not convinced it could happen, but it'd be nice.
And it also depends on the team you're trading with. Like a team like Montreal that's got going to have two pretty good picks,
chances in the
and
lottery.
already has pretty good young. Look what they did the draft last year. Look what they've got on their team.
Mm-hmm.
They could be a team that says, "Yeah, we don't mind moving back a little bit to get an extra asset here."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it all depends on who on the other end of the deal. But yeah, if they can get into the top 15 again, for as you said, not just to do it,
Right.
but to get hey, what if we've said it all along. What if there's a huge tumble by Mitchkov because people are scared away and he's sitting there. You've already drafted Connor Bedard number 1 and Mitchkov is sitting there still at 12 and you could trade up to get him. You do it.
You could, you could make it work.
Definitely. All right. What do we got next?
Hey, fellas,
Ryan.
love the show. If we don't land Bedard, Fantilli, and pick 5th or below, what do the Hawks have to do in order to build this team the right way despite a poor result from this tank? What would you guys do if you were the GM for this very possible scenario?
Well, I don't think they're going to go below 5th. That would be a
Below 5th,
disaster.
they would have to.
They'd have to win a lot more games first of all.
Yeah, they'd have to really have a win streak going on, and I don't foresee that happening. 5th or lower, I think that's when you might think about, could we package that pick and the Tampa pick and jump up to 4th or 3rd? Maybe see if you can convince a team that passing on the opportunity of Leo Carlson or Mitchkov is worth having 2 later first-round picks. That's what if I was GM, that's what I would try and do. If you're saying you're picking 6th and you don't have the opportunity to move up, Will Smith is a great prospect from the U.S. development program. I think he'll be available around there. Zach Benson is second behind only the great Connor Bedard in scoring in the WHL. He's a really good-looking prospect. So there's guys that you can still get that are very high first-round talents. They're not the franchise changers that the first 3 or 4 picks probably could be, but they're still guys that you can get very excited about. And I think with what Kyle Davidson has already done in his first draft class, it's something we love to talk about, but it's a valid point. What he's already done with his first draft class has put the Blackhawks back onto not only on track, but like fast tracking their rebuilding process. You don't go in one draft. You don't usually go in one draft class, going from the 25th prospect system to the 5th best prospect system in the NHL, according to The Athletic. So I think as far as that goes, in this scenario, they're getting a guy like Benson or Smith. I think those are guys that you could still be very excited about if they're picking that low.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you're adding one of those guys, those guys aren't like, you're not starting with those guys. You're adding them to an already pretty darn good pool of prospects. So, yes, missing out on one of those top 3 or 4 guys would be a major disappointment, but it doesn't screw, thank you. It doesn't completely ruin everything. And based on the way that this team drafted last year, it's obvious they've got a game plan and they've got every scenario figured out.
Yeah.
So when it gets to wherever they're at, they know exactly how they want to get to it. And we know that Kyle Davison will be aggressive. And if there's a way, even if he doesn't get the slot he wants, and if he can find a way to still get the guy he wants, he's going to do everything he can to do it. So we've got an aggressive general manager with a scouting team that he trusts, with foresight.
And listens to.
Listens to. That's the key. So obviously nobody wants the Hawks to drop out of that top 3.
No.
But in case it does, it will suck. But I'm not gonna hit the panic button because I think this front office has a scenario worked out for that exact, if that were to happen.
In a weaker draft class last season, at 7th overall, the Blackhawks got Kevin Korchinski, and look at how excited everyone is for him to get into the system and to keep developing. So in a stronger class, a guy at 5 or 6 is probably on a development trajectory a little bit higher than that. So that's still something to get very excited about.
There's a lot of people in the chat asking about Matvei Michkov, and I don't think we actually got a Twitter email question about him, but let's address that. I know that I think in Corey Pronman's latest rankings, he moved up to number 2. The risk with him is that first of all, he's under contract in Russia for a few more years, and then he might not come at all. That's the fear. And while if he was Canadian or American, he'd probably be the number 2 pick in this draft. But I just think there is such a risk, and I don't think a team like the Blackhawks can take this draft that is so important to their future and say, well, because every pick is a lottery ticket. There's very few sure things. I think Bedard is a sure thing. Fantilli pretty close. But beyond that, Kirby Dach was picked 3rd, and we're still kind of unsure, right? So if you're not even sure the guy's going to come to the NHL, I think the Hawks have to skip that. If somebody like Montreal lands 3, that might make sense for them.
If there's a team that has a few years to wait for someone like that because they're already further in their restocking plan or whatever you want to call it in a different team scenario, I think you could probably, if they land 3rd, be okay with it.
The Ducks can probably.
Yeah, the Ducks could. The Ducks could probably wait because don't they have 2 first-round picks too this year? Their own and another.
Didn't they just get one?
I'm pretty sure they did for Klingberg, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, or not for Klingberg. I don't know. Anyways, I don't think I think Kyle Davidson, while he has a long-term vision for the future and is preaching patience with prospects, I think their first pick this year has to be a guy that's going to be either immediately on the roster next season or within a season after that. Can be an NHL contributor.
And Proman's ranking is based on just pure talent. He's not saying you should be drafting Michkov number 2 or he's going to go number 2. That's not his mock
It's not
draft.
a mock draft, but it's
based on talent, and he's right.
It's a ranking talent, yeah.
Michkov is a better player than Adam Fantilli. I think so. I think he's more talented.
Yeah.
Does Fantilli have maybe a higher NHL ceiling? Maybe. I mean, you can't go wrong with either one of those guys, but I think based on just pure talent, I do think Michkov is slightly better than Fantilli, and that's not a slight on Fantilli at all. But Fantilli is number 2 on everybody's board because there's no risk there.
Right.
When you get Adam Fantilli, he's in your system the day he decides he no longer wants to play at the University of Michigan, which is either draft day or after this upcoming season.
Right.
You're going to get him.
Yeah.
Michkov, you don't. That's why he's dropping. It's got nothing to do with his talent. Michkov in any other year, if Michkov was in last year's draft, he'd be number 1.
Yeah.
Number 1 or next year's draft. He is the second most talented player in this draft. And I don't think that's.
There were the same fears with Alex Ovechkin, if you remember.
Yeah.
When he was drafted, is he even going to come to the United States?
Yeah.
And it worked out for the Capitals. If you haven't been paying attention,
well, they also had the lockout to wait. So
true.
You got an extra.
Well, you
year
never
out
know
of
when
it.
one of those are coming around. So.
Every
Why
year
not?
we're probably due for one. The God forbid, oh my God, the Ducks only do have one first round pick. By the
Okay.
way, they got a 4th for John Klingberg with some.
I
some
remember
players that go along with
I
it.
remember the Klingberg trade was actually terrible. But
Yes. All right, what's next, Joey? What do we got?
Let's see.
We should do some reads after this one too.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay, with all the defense and forward movement, it seems our goaltending noise has taken a back seat. Obviously, Mrazek is our day one next year, but sorry if I butchered that. But what is the plan for everyone else? Stalock, Soder. I can even see us taking Cal Peterson off the Kings' hands for more capital.
Yeah. Goaltending is not really
It's not something we need to worry about for next year. To be
No,
honest with you.
no. If it's Mrazek again, fine. If it's Stalock, if they want to bring him back for another year of the experience, that'd be wonderful. I'm enjoying Alex.
He's
Stalock.
entertaining as hell.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the press box last night watching, just going, this dude is fun.
Like I want him back next year. If he wants to come back, give him another year. Let's ride it out again.
Cal Peterson, by the way, currently buried in their system. He's 28. He's got 2 years left after this one at 2.875. So, yeah, like that's the kind of thing.
He did get
that,
some starts this year, didn't he? Did he not? And then Phoenix,
he was just bad.
Pionix,
Pionix.
Phoenix, whatever, kind of came up, and they had Quick for a while, and then they got rid of him.
Cal Peterson has 10 starts, a 3.75 goals against, and a .868 save percentage. So he'll fit right in.
Sounds great for the tank.
So,
Yeah.
I wouldn't be really hung up on goaltending for next season.
No.
Goaltending is like the last piece of this puzzle. And they've got some interesting, Drew Commesso hasn't even turned pro yet.
Yeah.
Arvid Soderblom has stepped it up over the last few weeks in Rockford. I think he's neck and neck with Commesso as far as being the top prospect. And
Sure.
what we saw from Jackson Stauber is very encouraging.
Yeah,
He's been a pleasant surprise. I'm not saying he's the goalie of the future, but he's definitely, I feel a lot better about him now than I did at the start of this year. And you have another guy who's been playing very well in the ECHL, and Mitchell Weeks, and he played well when he's been called into duty at Rockford. So you've got 4 solid, not necessarily can't miss goaltending prospects. So I think the goaltending is something that that's going to be the last piece of the puzzle that you really worry about.
Yeah.
You need it, no doubt,
For
but
sure.
you don't need to go out of your way right now to get it. I think they're putting their eggs in the Commesso Soderblom basket, and we'll
For
see
now,
how
at
that
least,
goes.
yeah.
But it wouldn't hurt. You draft, they say in the NFL, draft a quarterback every year, draft a goalie every year.
Sure.
At least one.
If
With all these extra picks,
you
take a
got
couple
4
goalies.
second-round picks, there's not a problem with using one of them on a higher end goalie.
And the Hawks are in a good position going forward to where if they can't get a guy, if they can't bring up a guy, if Commesso turns out that he's not an NHLer and Soderblom doesn't progress, they've got enough capital as far as assets to trade or money on the market where they can go out and get their goalie of the
could get
future.
somebody.
They don't necessarily have to develop it, but so next year's goaltending, I wouldn't lose a wink of sleep over it.
Yeah.
It is not going to be a priority for this team. Mrazek will be back. I know I see a lot of people say buy him out. Why?
Yeah.
Put him
Don't
out
need
there.
to.
He's not going to do any.
You still got to get to the cap floor.
Yeah, put him out there. You want to bring Stalock back? Great. You want to bring Soderblom up and let him be your 1A, 1B while Commesso gets, you can have Commesso and Stauber get all the starts in Rockford next year. Let those guys develop.
What about Blackhawks legends Anton Hudobin?
We'll see.
Yes, he is. His contract ends after this season.
Hey, you
That's
could
what
be talking about future Calder Cup champion Anton.
That's right.
Potentially. Also want to shout out Dominic Bassi with St. Cloud State. He has been doing very well at the college ranks, so can't forget about him. I think with goaltending, it's they're not in a position to need to compete yet. So, and they have guys that are developing. Goaltenders take some time to develop. Not it's not often you're going to get drafted goalies in first or second round where then within a year or two they're in the NHL. Like Marc-Andre Fleury and Carey Price, like those guys That's very rare. More often
rare.
you'll see guys like Corey Crawford
Yep.
drafted and took
I mean,
6 seasons to get to the
Look
NHL.
at Rick DiPietro.
Yeah,
That was a disaster.
that did not go well.
A guy that now, I mean, Jack Campbell was a first-round pick. He took forever, and
Pretty sure Cal Peterson was a first-round pick too.
and yeah, but Jack Campbell took forever to get to the NHL. He went and had that nice little regular season run in Toronto that earned him a Ken Holland overpay for him, which I'm sure they're regretting now. You know, a lot of times, man, your goalies, they come from out of nowhere. They're undrafted guys. Some of the greatest goaltenders in the history of the game were never drafted.
Right, yeah.
Ed Belfour was an undrafted college free agent. So you never know where that goalie is going to come from just because their development arc is on such a different trajectory than other players. So, I wouldn't sweat the goaltending right now. There are some promising guys in the system, but we are 2 to 3 seasons away from really having to sweat out who our goalie is going to be.
Yeah.
Yep. And there's always opportunities. Like, look, Cal Peterson's not a bad idea. We just don't know if LA is going to want to move on from him. But yeah, that like any scenario, like the Mrazek scenario or the Nikita Zaitsev scenario, he's game. Kyle Davidson's game for that.
Mm-hmm.
Who was it we were just talking about? Who was it we were just talking about before the deadline that ended up eventually getting moved? Oh, it was Kasperi Kapanen.
Yeah.
That was a guy that people thought maybe they would offer to the Hawks to
take
on something and
contract,
give up an asset. They ended up being able to move him. But, you know, the Hawks always have their eyes open on that stuff.
Yeah,
always.
I mean, look at a guy like Spencer Knight, who was a no miss, prospect. He struggled this year. Now he's in the wellness program. Now he's dealing with some issues. But that's a situation to keep an eye on too. You got Spencer Knight, and then they have the other Canadian kid in Florida. Who's the guy he was on the World Junior team? Levi.
Devin Levi's a Buffalo.
Buffalo, that's the team.
Yeah.
Never mind. Disregard.
Well, and our favorite potential hot dog sponsor, Eric Portillo, got traded.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
his rights did.
His rights. Yeah, his rights.
Yeah, it was the Kings.
To the Kings. Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So maybe Cal Peterson will be out there, and
maybe he will be.
You've got time to figure it out. Lots and lots of time.
There's time to time to figure out, and there's also time to get yourself some delicious Goose Island beer from the Goose Island Beer Company, the proud beer sponsor of CHGO and Chicago's beer since 1988. You see the cans on the table there for us. The Blackhawks Pale Ale, the Bull City 312. I believe that's the No Plans IP. Is it an IPA?
It'd just be a regular pale ale.
No Plans Pale Ale. And, of course, the distinguished gold can, the Goose Island 312, the staple of their lineup. All delicious beers. And, of course, you can't forget the Bourbon County Stout, the Beer Hug IPA, Green Line, all the good stuff that Goose Island provides. They're all great. And I was sitting in my backyard today enjoying some sunshine before I came into work with my wife and daughter. It was a good time. And it made me think, hey, in the summer, sitting back in my lawn chair, cracking open a beer and letting my daughter run around the yard, sounds like a good time. Goose Island, they are definitely going to be part of those plans. If you want to be part of Goose Island's plans, you can go to their 2 locations, which are open and ready to welcome you. You can grab a beer right from their innovation tanks at the Goose Island Tap Room at 1800 West Fulton. Or if you like to pair a smash burger with your beer, you can go to the original Clybourne Brew House, pick one of those up. That's at 1800 North Clybourne. For reservations and pickup, go to gooseisland.com/locations. Again, that is the delicious Goose Island Beer Company.
Once it hits your lips, it's so good.
Nice.
All right. Hey, another place you can get yourself an ice cold, delicious Goose Island product is at the United Center.
Yes, you can.
And if you want access to the United Center, be it a Blackhawks game, a Bulls game, a concert, any type of event at the United Center and at all venues across the globe, you can check out Game Time. They are the hottest new ticketing site that makes it easier than ever to score the best deals on tickets to sports, concerts, and shows. If you ever dreamed of sitting in a seat you never thought you could, maybe right behind the player's bench, maybe you want to sit behind the penalty box so you can yell at Brady Chuck for being a pudwack, or
Stop being a pudwack.
or maybe you can find a smelly Minnesota Wild prospect to make fun of too. No matter where you want to sit,
Smelly Sam.
Smelly Sam, wherever you want to sit, it is possible with Game Time. And they also have the biggest last-minute price drops on the seats you thought you could never buy. Speaking of gooses, you won't find a better deal on Blackhawks tickets this season. There are just a few tickets, a few games left. I believe, 7 home games left this season. So Game Time guarantees your lowest price into the United Center for a Hawks game. If you love CHGO, then you'll love Game Time. The best way to support us is by buying your tickets through the link in the description. If you're watching on YouTube, scroll down. On your way down, please smash that giant white thumbs up button. I've got a lot of people in the chat, but not as nearly as many as likes. So give us that like. We appreciate it.
Don't
and right under that, after clicking that thumbs up button, you'll see the description to get your Blackhawks tickets. So join over 15 million people who've downloaded the Game Time app and score the best deals on seats to all your favorite events. I'm going to an event tonight in Milwaukee that Game Time helped me with.
Springsteen?
Yes, I am. I'm going to go see the boss.
Nice.
Surprised Joey knows who Springsteen is.
I'm not. Joey's a well-cultured
See, that's
young man.
people probably think now, like, oh, he knows off the top of his head Springsteen's in Milwaukee tonight. I only know that because I also know someone who's going, but thought I would just throw
Doesn't
it out
matter.
there. You
You
know,
didn't have to expunge. I just, you're a well-versed, well-cultured young man. I don't care what the Bulls guys say about
That's
you.
right. They
Thank you.
say a lot.
Thank you, Greg. They do say a lot. All right, ready for the next
Yes,
mailbag?
let's do
Here
it.
we
Fire it
go.
up.
Are there, from Jacob Holton on Twitter, are there any pending unrestricted free agents you could see returning to the Hawks in 23-24?
What a very specific question you're asking. So Max Domi or Patrick Kane, is that the question?
Yeah, probably.
I think there's a good chance Max Domi comes back. I don't think it's guaranteed. But as I wrote about today for CHGO, opportunity matters to a lot of these guys. And Max Domi was able to go out and be a number 1 center for the entire season and put up huge numbers and then join a contender. But he loves it here. He loves Luke Richardson. He loves his teammates. I do think that there's a very solid chance that he's back next season. I don't think it's a guarantee, but I think it's a really, really good chance.
Yeah, I think it's 50-50 he comes back. I think the Hawks can offer him more than what any other team can, based both money
or
and
would want to.
play. Right, both money and playing wide. Like the Hawks have to spend almost $30 million to get to the cap floor next season, so they can give him a couple extra $1 million more than anybody, probably another year, and they can say you're our number 1 center. No other team's going to do that.
No,
that's going to be able to pay him that kind of money. So I think it's a good chance for him. Otherwise,
I didn't even mention Jonathan Taves, which is somewhat telling.
Yeah, just because he's not coming back.
It doesn't seem like he's either coming back or if he'll play. It just doesn't seem that way.
Saw him today. We were talking to Anders Bjork. He went, whoop. He looked in the locker room and
he
put
poked his head out and said,
back
"Oh, it's Jay and Greg from CHGO. I'm out of here. I'm going to talk to those jerks.
I'm gonna get on the plane.
They're going to ask me. I'm going to go get some of that sushi on the plane.
Yeah.
Plain sushi.
Plain sushi.
If there's an outbreak
charter
of stomach flu in Detroit, we'll know why. It's not the Little Caesars.
It will actually be bad shrimp this time.
But as far as like UFAs coming back, like I think we need to accept the fact that the Blackhawks as an organization are ready to move on from Kane and Taves. They're not coming back. Alex DeBrinket's not coming back. It's time to move forward. Who else is a UFA on this team right now? Andres Anthony, I don't think he's coming back. I don't think there's going to be an outcry for him to come back.
Is England UFA?
He might be an RFA.
Let's see. Tenorti is a UFA.
I can see him coming
I
back.
think he would come back, and
Come on
England
back.
is a UFA as well.
Who is?
Restricted, England.
England, okay.
Restricteds are Ian Mitchell, Caleb Jones, Kurashev, Joey Anderson, Austin Wagner, and Anders Bjork.
I think I guarantee Kurashev is coming back. Like he needs to be part of the
I
future.
think all those RFAs could be back.
Probably.
Sure, why not? It's not going to cost you a lot.
And I think it makes a lot of sense to bring Tenorti back for another year. Why not?
Luke Richardson loves him, so
Yeah.
there you go. He's not
Ian
gonna cost
Mitchell
you
and
anything.
Caleb Jones.
Luke spoke very highly of Caleb today.
Yeah.
I think
I wouldn't be surprised if he gets another 1-year deal.
I can't wait for that news to break and see what our mentions
I don't
look like.
he's not been that bad lately.
No.
I think that
Caleb
people are
Jones
just-
is a third pairing defender.
people are mad about. I think people are less mad about Seth than they've ever been because he's been playing the best hockey he's played as a Blackhawk. And I think Caleb's been playing his best hockey as a Hawk too. Those two look good together, Caleb and Seth. And I'm not saying that should be your pairing forever, but like, I don't know. I always felt like the hatred for Caleb was way too strong.
Well,
look, you're paying the guy $1 million,
and it ricochets off of Seth.
Yes, he's giving you $1 million worth of defense. I don't think there's any. If anything,
that's a good way to put it.
If anything, I think he might be worth slightly more than they're paying him.
Yeah, I for next season, if he gets a 1-year deal to come back and do it again, like that's not a huge issue. I think Mitchell's gone. I don't think they're going to bring him back because you got to start opening up some spots for some of these young guys to come up. So.
I think that the organization, there's far too many young defensemen coming up through the pipeline that are frankly better than Ian Mitchell.
Yeah, to plug things up. And while I think it would be a nice little, handshake agreement, say, hey, thanks for doing everything you did this year to bring Tenorti back. I think for that same reason, I don't know if they bring him back because you could give that playing time to a guy like Isaac Phillips, and it seems like Phillips is going to be coming up. One thing that was really interesting that Scott Powers wrote about recently was that the expectation for Wyatt Kaiser with Minnesota Duluth is that once his season is over, which could happen as soon as this weekend, he would come to the Blackhawks, burn his first year of the ELC this year, and possibly be in their plans for the NHL next season. That would be very interesting to see.
He's a guy that we just frankly don't talk enough about because he's playing college. Like we talk about all the guys at Rockford and the guys we drafted this year. He's kind of a forgotten prospect, but he's a damn good hockey player.
He's been a really good defenseman for 3 years at a really top tier program.
And he keeps progressing. Like he came into that program as like your offensive minded defenseman, and he's completely developed into more of a defensive minded defenseman, but still has that offensive upside. He's a really intriguing prospect. So yeah, maybe Tenorti doesn't come back, but if you, I think it just
I'm not
depends.
Going to cry if he does.
Right.
Well, he's a guy too that spent a lot of time in the AHL, so you could bring him up to start the year. And then find out what you've got in these young players. Maybe you want to give Vlasic another 2 months down there. Whoever. I'm just throwing a name out there.
Yeah.
And then say, all right, well, we're going to swap the two, send Tenorti down. The guy's played what? I'm looking at his most recent years.
This is the most NHL games he's played in a single season.
Yeah. Like it's, he played 32 games for Hartford last year. That's as many as he's played for Chicago this year. So he is more of an AHL player than an NHL player most of the time. So I don't think if you were to resign him, he would be offended if you were to send him to Rockford.
Sure.
In sort of the leadership kind of the thing Adam Clendenning was doing this year a little bit. Different players, but, same kind of idea as you bring a veteran down to lead these young players. Plus, you'll probably have some younger guys making the jump to Rockford next year, too.
Right, yeah.
Some of the prospects in the system.
Allen, maybe DeMastro.
Right.
It's the defense is exciting these next couple of years. There's going to be a lot of in and out and who's playing and who's not. So, yeah, maybe Tenorti doesn't come back, or maybe he's back on a cheap 1-year deal, 2-way deal to be that insurance policy in case one of these guys doesn't work out, or you have a rash of injuries. Or you just need a guy that can go out there and punch somebody in the face, or get punched in the face as he did last night.
Yeah, that's for
Either or. And on Domi, I just want to say, like, it really seems like it seems like everything that he has said really just is like extra, like, on top of it. Like, I really like Chicago. I really like the fans. I really like the team. I really like Luke Richard. Like, it really seems like he's putting all his, as much as he can out there to be like, I really liked it here. Like, it'd be cool if I came back. Like,
I wouldn't be shocked if there's a already signed contract predated July 1st, 2023, sitting in the right-hand drawer of Kyle Davison, just waiting for that opening, and then he's just going to fax it into the office.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. You don't see it very often. I know we screamed it a lot here during the trade deadline. That never happens. It happens every once in a while, and if it were to happen, Max Domi is the best chance of it happening.
Much higher likelihood than any other guy.
Yeah. When I know there's probably people listening to this and watching this saying, if you've got nothing but cap space and you say that Domi can go back, why can't Patrick Kane come back? And I know we've addressed it a lot, but it just feels like when you move on from a player that's that big of a deal, that's that big of a name, that the decision is mutual, right? Both sides have said, okay, it's time for the next phase. It's time for the next chapter. Bringing Max Domi in here doesn't really change a lot in terms of locker room presence. He's a positive locker room guy, but he's not the kind of guy where young players are going to be like, oh, my God, that's Max Domi. Patrick Kane has that presence. Jonathan Toews has that presence. And I think that matters as you're waiting for the younger leadership, or maybe not even younger, but the new leadership. Just look at how different Seth Jones has been since the trade went down and since Jonathan Toews stepped aside. Luke Richardson talked today about Jason Dickinson stepping up as a leader, more vocal on the ice last night, calling for pucks, banging his stick, being more assertive, because now he's one of the veteran presences on this team. And with those guys out of the way, and I want to be clear here, not that like Kane and Toews were saying like, you can't lead, this is our team. It wasn't that at all. Those are two freaking icons of the NHL.
Yeah.
Right? Like, no one's going to step into that room and be able to lead. Seth Jones is a perfect example.
Yeah.
Right? That's a guy who's was he number 1 overall, Seth Jones?
Third or fourth.
Third overall. So, yeah, really high pick, super hyped prospect, all those things. He's been a multi-time All-Star, and he came in and didn't find his place until recently. So I think that's the difference between bringing Kane back and bringing Domi back, where Domi's just another guy in the group. Yeah, he's maybe more vocal and more, I don't know if decorated is the right word, but more experienced, but he's not the kind of presence that's going to really like keep other people from taking that lead, from taking that mantle. Yeah. I think that's what the Hawks want. They want someone to grab that leadership.
They want new faces of this franchise.
Yeah, they want to bring in a new era of the team. And I'm, as much as it sucks to close that chapter, close that Toews and Kane and Stanley Cup chapter, it's necessary. Yep. It's necessary to move forward. So
it's time.
Yeah.
All right, we got a lot more, don't we?
We got a couple more.
All right, let's get through them quickly here because we're almost out of time.
Let's rapid fire.
Okay, here we go. Could the NHL introduce a luxury tax that can only be used on players drafted by that franchise? This could be limited to 5 to 10% of the overall maximum cap limit. It would certainly help teams that draft and develop well and incentivize others to improve.
So you could spend extra on your own drafted players.
I love that.
That's
a great idea.
I love that idea.
They could do it. They won't because it makes too much sense.
Yeah. But like we've said, leading up to the deadline here, how many times have we seen the Blackhawks punished because they drafted and developed too well? Kane, Toews, Bufflin, Teravainen, Deneau. It goes on and on and on of the good players they've drafted that they've had to get rid of for financial reasons.
Yep.
Yes, a luxury tax is a great way. If you're not going to budge from the hard cap, let drafted players count for less off the cap.
Yeah.
I think that. So if you sign, Jonathan Toews, you sign him for a $10 million deal, his cap hit is 9 or 8 or something like that. And then if you trade that guy, the cap hit increases.
Yep. To stop punishing teams from being good at drafting.
Correct.
That's all this. That's all the cap does.
I also think that's going to discourage, it's a wrong term. I think what I'm saying is it would encourage people to hang on to their expensive players that they drafted because, all right, well, look, we're going to keep this guy because he's ours, and we're getting him for pennies on a dollar versus signing a giant free agent or making a huge move at the deadline. I think it'll keep guys with their teams longer, which is a good thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If the Hawks didn't have to break up their teams, they could have won 5 cups, 6 cups, honestly.
Oh, for sure.
And it's frustrating. So, of course, Bill Wirtz leaves us just when the Hawks are ready to spend and the salary cap kicks in.
Yeah, well,
funny how that works.
Of course, it's amazing.
That happens.
All right, let's. How many more we got?
We got 2 more and then a couple more in the comments as well.
All right, let's do it.
All right, here we go. I have a few questions. You don't have to read them all. Who's your favorite player in the league currently and why? Okay. What's your second favorite team? How would you rank the prospects we have in Rockford?
Oh, my gosh.
And are there any players in Indy that you think could play?
You can't do another hour.
All right, let's do the first 2. These are quick.
Hit the first 2.
Favorite player in the league currently and why? I'm assuming they're saying non-Blackhawks.
Yeah. Sure.
Okay. Go ahead, fellas.
My current non-favorite Blackhawk is Cale Makar. And my second favorite team, I would probably go Carolina Hurricanes.
Hurricanes. My second team is I've always had an affinity for the Rangers. Now that they have Patrick Kane, that affinity has gone up, just for the season at least. And favorite player, I mean, it's funny. Like when I look outside the NHL, it's just like I just love the sport. Like I just love the. It's hard to pick a guy like specifically. Obviously, you love watching Crosby and McDavid and Ovechkin. Everyone knows my love for Jake McCabe. Like there's like
he's not a Blackhawk anymore, so
that's true. Yeah,
same with Patrick Kane.
So yeah, it's definitely an across the league love. Also love watching Cale Makar.
I'm gonna say my favorite player is Matthew Tkachuk. We were talking about the Tkachuks last night. Physical, brash, loudmouth.
Your inner Pudwag.
I don't care. I want him on my team. I've always wanted Tkachuks. I will take Matthew. If Brady would be a nice secondary. I just think the guy that made me fall in love with hockey is Jeremy Roenick, and I think Matthew Tkachuk is the closest thing the NHL has right now to Jeremy Roenick.
Yeah.
So give me Matthew Tkachuk. Second favorite team. It kind of fluctuates because it depends on like where the Hawks are. Like, are the Hawks competitive? Like, for whatever reason, I have an affection for the Minnesota Wild. I kind of want them to be good.
Where's your Minnesota Wild dad hat from last year?
I got it somewhere. I don't know where it is.
Is it on the lawnmower waiting to get used?
Probably, yeah. I don't know what it's about, but then the Hawks and them had so many playoff series that, of course, I don't know. It's weird. It changes, but I would like the Minnesota Wild to be a more important NHL team, and I find myself when I'm watching their games rooting for them. I like their colors. I like what they finally done with their uniforms. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That's. I think I would pick them. It's weird. I know they're in the conference.
Yeah.
But in the division, I mean, but I don't know. It is what it is. I can't help it.
Yeah, they've been pretty harmless.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, be less harmless.
Like,
make me hate you.
The North Stars were a hated rival because
but they're not the North Stars.
Right. They haven't done anything bad to us except let us move on to the next round a couple of times.
Yeah. Can I add one favorite all-time non-Blackhawk?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Favorite all-time non-Blackhawk.
Mine's Peter Forsberg.
He's up there. Joe Sakic is up there.
I always like Brian Leach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Another Ranger.
And chuck that BioSteel.
Yeah, you need to switch seats.
Switch shows.
Just move to New York.
Yeah, Joe Sakic, Peter Forsberg. I love those teams. A big Mario Lemieux fan.
I like Pavel Bure a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there are lots of all-time greats, Hawks guys, non-Hawks that I liked. Because for a long time there, in my most formative years of watching hockey, the Hawks were garbage. So I had to find.
You had to watch other.
I had to pick other teams and players to like because after April 2nd, the Hawks weren't playing anymore.
Yeah.
For half of my.
Doug Gilmour.
Yeah,
Yeah, he was a Hawk for a bit.
Yeah.
But
better than you remember, by the way, when you look back at the numbers.
Well, because if you just reference what he had with the Hawks, he was good with the Hawks, but he was great when he was with Calgary and Toronto, and even that little bit he was in St. Louis.
Yep.
Real good player.
Being a smaller guy myself, I found an affinity for Paul Kariya and Martin St. Louis.
I was gonna say, speaking of small guys, Martin St. Louis is one of my all-time favorite players.
He's my thighs.
Don't skip leg
inspiration.
days. Yeah.
Yep. All right.
It's not working out well though.
What do we got?
Last one, I believe.
All right.
Yes, already did that one. Okay. How do you feel about personalized goal songs? I feel like we've been.
This was a hot topic on the old Twitters this weekend too.
Let's do it.
About retiring Chelsea Dagger.
It'd be a lot of fun. See what? Here's my compromise with the people that don't want to let go of it. Make it the goal song for guys who don't submit a personalized goal song, and if you do want a personalized goal song, then you get that song.
Yeah.
Or you just do it for a few seconds and you fade into the personalized song. I think having personalized goal songs lets you understand the guy's personalities a little bit.
It's fun.
That's so interesting. So it's like you score and then they play the
You just
song.
play Chelsea Dagger for
So
a
it's
few
like the
seconds and
MLB
fade in.
walkout song,
Exactly.
but it's
Same
reversed.
Concept, but you get your own goal song. All we do especially in the offseason, is say the NHL doesn't do a good enough job promoting these guys' personalities. Well, the best way to do is let them pick their own goal song. I think that's fun.
Give them opportunities to show personality.
Yeah,
It's not like they didn't earn it. They scored.
Yeah.
Play their song.
Let them play.
Right.
Let them have whatever song. I love that idea. I think if the Hawks did that, you'd see other teams trending along and make it a league-wide thing.
Some teams do it. I think the Sabres did it this year.
Yeah.
Like it's
Make it a thing.
Fun.
The goal songs are getting kind of boring and stale around. Like I'm over Chelsea Dagger. That represented.
We had this
Blackhawks,
conversation in the summer.
That represented that era. If the franchise is moving on from that era, Let's move on from that era. Let these new guys, these new kids, these new future of the franchise tell you who they are from day one.
Yeah, you get something funny.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
I mean, half these guys would probably all pick the same Taylor Swift song. But
I'd pick
whatever.
It's Raining Men just for fun. You know, like just to throw people for a lick. Why am I hearing this song
Pick like
right
the
now?
wreck of
that's his goal song.
the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Something like
The whole song. All right, a couple chats we want to get to.
Yeah, do we have another ad read or
yeah,
no?
we have
We
to
do.
pick.
Yes.
I don't think we're going to
Rules.
get to Luke Richardson stuff.
Oh yeah, you know what? We got time. That's like 2 minutes, right? We got time. Let's get through the reads real quick, then we'll share that Luke Richardson comment, because the other questions we kind of answered already vaguely.
I'll go with the questions.
DraftKings Sportsbook is the official sports betting partner of CHGO in all city. Jump on those NBA no sweat same game parlays. Major League Baseball, it's here, it's close, it's on your television. It doesn't count, but it's going to soon. So get those future bets in. Who's going to win the division? Who's going to win the World Series? MVP, Cy Young, home run leader, all those things. Jump in, place those bets. You can do that today at the DraftKings Sportsbook app. I'm going to bet the Cubs over. I did already. I think I got it like 77 or something like that. I got to check.
Nice.
So that's sitting there waiting for 9 months from now to to figure out what happens. But I love those future bets, and the same game parlays are so fun. We've been doing them all year with anytime goal scorers. I think that next game is Hawks Red Wings. I think that Dylan Larkin and Anders Bjork are both going to score. You parlay those two together. If they both score, boom, it's a bigger payout for a very little wager. You can wager big too if you want, but it's a fun way to just keep in every game and just kind of nickel and dime your way through the season. It's great fun. Download the app now and use the code CHGO when you sign up. New customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly, only at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details.
Hey, and a good way to add more money to your DraftKings account is by calling our friends at ComEd, and they can help you save money, which then you can turn into some same-game parlays over at DraftKings. We've got you covered on all aspects here. The ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve save money and energy. ComEd offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities, whether it's lighting, HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 or 4 weeks, customers receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project cost, potential incentives, and simple payback. Don't wait. Start saving money and energy today. For energy saving tips and to schedule your free facility assessment, go to comed.com/poweringbiz, B-I-Z. Ready for a facility assessment? Call ComEd at 855-433-2700 during normal business hours, or speak with a ComEd Energy Efficiency Program representative. Or you can email businessee@comed.com or request an assessment online at their website, comed.com/facility assessment.
Business ethics.
Hopefully you type facility assessment better than I say facility assessment.
All right. After practice today, Luke Richardson met the media. He was asked by our buddy Joe Brand with some bigger lineups coming up here in the future. What does he want to see from Lucas Reichel? And Luke spent about 2.5 minutes being very specific about things they've seen from Lucas Reichel and things they're correcting. Really, really good stuff. This is what we call X's and O's hockey porn. So this is a nice gift for people who stuck with us the entire episode. Here's Luke Richardson after practice today.
You know what? Last night, I think he had one kind of play. It's not a soft play. It was, I thought, more fancy play. It was one of the first shifts in the first period, and puck came up. And he's been so good on the walls. In that red zone, he just tried to do a little 1 foot up, a little one tick, and it didn't. It just went over the blue line, but they got the puck, went back in. He had to play the D zone. So all the coaches were chomping at the bit, waiting for him to get off. We were fighting over each other and who was getting to him first. And he came in, he already knew, I could see the red in his cheeks, and we're like, right, that's not for here, not for this league, not for you. You're too good of a player. Take that puck, skate it, create some ice, and make a stronger play. He scored not long after by making a stronger play, because Athasenio and Khrushchev killed the play. in the D zone, which we're getting better at, and he just had the instinct and knows when to go and created that chance. And then probably about 5 minutes left in the game, he stole a puck in the D zone, skated to the red line, knew he couldn't get the red line to dump it in for a non-icing, and just had and he has a skill set and ability. He lays a kind of alley-oop over the deep heads, close to their bench, so we can get the change. That's just smart, intelligent hockey, and I know, guys that have watched him play in Rockford the last few years, that's a big step for him. Like, to not try and stick out through 4 guys, turn the puck over, and get another point in the game where the team gets 2. That's team first thought process, and that's got to be every day, every game, every shift, and I think you're starting to see that from him. So, and also there was another play in the third period just inside the blue line where I saw Tkachuk not happy with the game, saw he was going to have to make a play standing still, and charged at him. And he had enough confidence and calmness and ability to make another little airmail play and just absorb Tkachuk as he hit him so he doesn't get blown over or hurt. So that gives me confidence for him to have the awareness when someone like that's on the ice. So when he's in Tampa and Maroon's on the ice, he knows he's a big guy. He could hurt him if he's not paying attention and he catches him the wrong way. He's got to be aware of not just where the puck is, but who's on the ice and what type of players they are. And it's a bigger, more physical league. But I like that play in the third period, or those 2 plays in the third period, of just being conscious of us playing with the lead and who's on the ice, and protect yourself. So that shows some maturity there.
That was Luke Richardson after practice today. Really good stuff. What I love about him, among other things, is he's just so thoughtful in his answers. Mm-hmm. Like, so many other coaches would just be like, yeah, we'll just tell him, got to be physical, got to make those plays. He had specific moments, and I love the fact that he said every coach on the bench was chomping at the bit to tell Reichel what he had done wrong. That's great. That's so good. And it's not like they were going to chew him out and be hard asses. They all want to teach.
Right.
They want to teach these guys. It's great. I love that. And Lucas goes to the bench. He's got red in his cheeks. He knows he screwed up. Why? Because the coaches have communicated to him, this is what you need to do in this situation. He knows it. He screwed it up. And before they even had to say anything, my bad. Next time I won't do it. Mm-hmm. And when the chance came later, he did the right thing.
It's a refreshing difference, and I'm not going to slam Joel Quenneville for his coaching styles necessarily, because it worked. But how many times during the Quenneville era did you hear, well, we just need more from him?
We need more. We're looking for more.
We're looking for more. Well,
need better dumps.
Well, never mind. But Luke Richardson doesn't go that. He says, yeah, we need more. And by more, I very specifically mean this,
yes,
this.
Yeah.
It's just, I love that. I hope that continues. I hope this isn't just Luke Richardson being super eager that he's a first-year head coach and he wants to be super accommodating. I hope as things get further down the line and hopefully the expectations rise because the team is getting better and the team is having success, that this doesn't change, because I could sit there and listen to Luke Richardson talk X's and O's of hockey for hours. Like, I would love to have him once a week just sit here and say, okay, show him a play, let him break it down, and then just take an hour break while he sits there and explains it to you.
Yeah, that would be great. All right, thanks everybody for hanging out with us today. We appreciate it. 101 of you in the chat and only 62 likes. On your way out, please smash that like button. We would greatly, greatly appreciate that. We'll be back after tomorrow night's game, 6:30 puck drop in Detroit. So a nice early post-game show. Please join us after this original 6 clash. I love when the Hawks and Red Wings play. Oh, yeah, that's right. It's no longer a rivalry because NBC got rid of it.
That's true.
So it'll be fun. We'll talk to you tomorrow night after Hawks and Wings on the CHGO Blackhawks podcast. Wings.